That's fine. Okay, um, this is ChatGPT. So I hope you guys are aware of the interface. If not, just log in. You will come across this particular interface. I do lots of ChatGPT queries. I'll get the answer. So here our intention is to build a desktop PC. So let me ask ChatGPT. Can you suggest me some configuration to build a desktop? So it will give me, what are the CPU I require, what is the graphic card, what is the memory, what is the primary hard drive, secondary hard drive, blah 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 blah. So this is how the ChatGPT will suggest you something instead of going and searching each and every page. So our intention is I want to build a desktop. So what I do is I take this information, I go to a store, I'll say, sir, I want a desktop. My budget is 20,000 or 30,000 rupees. So I'll say, no, I don't want a gaming processor. I want a middle level processor. So I'll take a middle level processor. Then I take a little bit of RAM, say 16 GB or 8 GB. Then I take one hard drive, then one motherboard and power supply. So okay, this is just a image of a motherboard. So motherboard will house everything. So your CPU will go here. Okay, the RAM will go here. So you have two different type of RAM. Probably it will support DDR2 or DDR3 or DDR3 or DDR4, whatever it may be, your PCI cards. So if I want to assemble my computer, so first and foremost I need to get a motherboard. Then I have to include everything on top of the motherboard. So I take off the RAM, I put the RAM on top of the RAM, I put a heat shrink because not RAM, CPU. So CPU is something like which does all the calculation and is very very hot. In order to cool down that, we require a heat shrink. This is nothing but a kind of thermal paste and a fan. Let me show you. CPU. So this is a CPU and this is how you install the CPU. On top of it you will put a fan. So this is a heat shrink. Of course you will find in different models based on your budget and. So earlier the heat shrink used to come in a big it's a kind of big block. Now again everything reduced in size. The CPU heat shrinks also reduce in size. So once that is done, you put your RAM, you put your motherboard, then you put your power supply. So if you see this, right, the entire thing is called as a cabinet. You put your motherboard, then you screw the motherboard first, then you put the CPU, then you put the RAM, then you put the hard drive. This is a power supply which will provide current to the motherboard. Then you have to, one wire will go to the hard drive, and if you have a optical device, something like a DVD drive, another power supply will go to that. So again there are two wires, one is a power supply, another one is a data transfer. So the data transfer will go to the motherboard, and the power supply another cable, right? Let me show you. Yeah, this is a bare metal cabinet which contains all the cables which come from the power supply. Okay, now you might be asking me, hey Nakisho, what's the point when we are buying everything ready made, so why we need to know the hardware, basic hardware? The reason is, see, often you come across many of the issues. So I do have a desktop which I use for file server, wherein I download lots of things. And recently the problem I face is when I turned on the first and foremost, every motherboard will have a BIOS. Okay, that means the motherboard will have a small battery as well. So let me show you. Okay, this is a motherboard CMOS battery, and again on the motherboard you have a BIOS chip. Okay, so the chip should be something like this. We'll discuss about the BIOS, why it is very important. Okay, the BIOS chip will be like this. In order to power on the BIOS chip, we have a small battery. this battery will last longer. Again, after some years, the people, they go and get a new battery and they replace the battery. So whenever you power on the desktop, it will get the battery, the BIOS will get the power from the battery, and it will check whether the motherboard is okay. Once the motherboard is okay, then it will check each and every component. It will check the CPU first, it will check the RAM, then it will check the hard drive. Then if everything is okay, then it will check the BIOS. Again, the BIOS will load the operating system from the hard drive into the RAM. That is a what call rule of a BIOS. It loads the operating system from the hard drive to the RAM. So now, why we need to know all these things, Kishore? So nowadays, right, BIOS, again, there are two types of BIOS. One is a legacy BIOS. Another one is UEFI, something probably UEFI. This is the latest BIOS, and the other one is a legacy BIOS. So legacy BIOS support, the support is very less. Something like it supports only 4 partitions in a hard drive, and it supports say 2 TB of hard drive. Again, it supports 16-bit or 32-bit of CPUs, but the latest one supports 64-bit CPUs. So I really don't know what exactly blah blah blah. Let me check. Let me ask ChatGPT. Okay. Okay. What is the other one? Again, ChatGPT will support many formats, guys. So if you want to read, you can read. It's a legacy BIOS and this is a UEFI BIOS. So old system, they always go with the legacy BIOS. The new system, it is more secure. The reason why why we require this BIOS in the very first place is secure boot. So what exactly is secure boot? Say for example, right, when you power on the system, okay, power on the desktop, it will load the operating system. So again, there are some boot process will happen. It will ensure the operating system is a genuine, which is signed by some digital certificate. If that is not happen, right, so you can put a malicious kind of software in the BIOS, then again it will load the malicious BIOS. So just read this, again, it's a basic information, we don't want to get into deep, just you need to understand. And especially when you're dealing with the Linux or Windows, first and foremost, you need to select the which BIOS based on your hard drive. Okay, so this is about BIOS, and this is about motherboard. So it's a desktop, So we put the motherboard first. Again, the motherboard will check, when you turn on the power, it will check the CPU, whether the CPU is working. So one of the issue what I face is, initially the CPU was not working. So I cannot see anything on the screen. So I just remove the cover. I just clean everything. Again, I remove the heat shrink. I apply some paste. Then I install the heat shrink, and I started. Now CPU is working. Second thing, what if the RAM is not working? So when the RAM is not working, again the boot process, it will show you, it will not detect the RAM itself. It will stuck there itself. That means something is wrong with the RAM. So you need to take out the RAM, you need to clean, you have to put. If not, okay, and then Kishore, I don't want to put the RAM, then what will happen? If you don't put the RAM, the computer will give you a sound, beep, 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 fast sound. That means yes, the RAM module is missing. Okay, now the RAM is sorted out. Now now it will check for the hard drive. If there is some issue with the hard drive, it will not detect. Okay, no, there is no issue with the hard drive, it will detect. Then it will boot the it will load the operating system from the hard drive into the memory, and you got your login prompt. Now you might be asking me, this is a basic thing, Kishore, why we need to why we need to know. See, computer consists of many components. You need to know how to exploit these components. For example, right, if you ask ChatGPT, it said you can buy a CPU. Okay, so it says Intel Core i 11th generation CPU. Let's check this CPU a little bit. Okay, the CPU base frequency is 3.6 3 gigahertz. So what if I increase the CPU, what will be the issue? So generally what happens is, whenever the vendors, right, the Intel people, when they develop this CPU, the base frequency will be 4 or 5, don't know what is the number, but it should be more than that. Sorry, not the base, the maximum. And the base will be around 3.2 or 3.4. So they will look for a point wherein the CPU will perform in a very good manner, like it will not heat up, it can run long time, these kind of things. So accordingly they said no, the base is 3.6 and the maximum is 4.0. Now, can I increase the maximum to 4.5? Yes, you can do that. In that case, the CPU won't be stable. That means the CPU will crash, or the system will heat up. Again, it will freeze the computer. These kind of abnormal activities will happen. Now, Nankishore, this is fine, but how can I exploit the CPU? Simple thing, guys. One of my friend, he works in a Linux. He write the Linux kernel program. So what he has done is, again, he has written a program in such a manner, whatever current, say for example, our home current is some 5 amps, right? When it goes to the motherboard, it will be 1 amp. So what he does is, he with the program he will control the current. What if we apply, if we allow 2 amps of current, it will burn down all the hard drive. So the same concept was applied in this particular thing, USB rubber duck, I think. You might be hearing many of these things. So what exactly it does is, it will take the current from the motherboard. All you have to do is just plug in the USB, and within few I think few seconds or few minutes, it will burn down the entire hard drive. So what it happens is, generally USB things are stored for data, but here the USB will reverse, again it will take the current, it will amplify the current, and it will pass the current back to the motherboard. Eventually the motherboard will burn. So these things can happen. Now, in Ankisha, you said RAM is fine. When I load the BIOS will load the operating system in the RAM. So what we do? So guys, you need to understand the hardcore hackers, right? So what they do is, again, data has 3 stages, right? The 3 stages of data is, one is, give me a minute. So one is data at rest, data in motion, data in use. So data at rest means, see, whatever data you store on your hard drive. Say for example, I'm downloading a particular file. This means this file is on my hard drive. Say let's go to the downloads. Okay, I have this particular exe file and another exe file. This is the data is sitting on my hard drive. That means it's doing nothing. This is nothing but data at rest. If I send the same file to some person, say it might be Alekia or Rajshri, that means data is in motion. And data is in use is nothing but the data which is inside the RAM. Because again, storages are of 2 types, right? One is versatile storage. Please excuse the spelling mistakes, guys. Non-versatile storage. So non-versatile storage is nothing but your hard drive. Versatile storage is something your RAM. That means when you turn off the system, the data in the RAM will vanish. So it's a temporary storage. So what the people they do is, they try to take the RAM, they freeze the RAM, so that whatever data stored in the RAM, it will be again they take the RAM, they put in a different machine, and they steal the data. And right, hard drive, same thing, right? Hard drive, if you talk about the hard drive, before BitLocker encryption, so anyone can just boot a system with a Linux USB, and you can have access to the hard drive. And that is the reason we have a concept called full disk encryption. What we see in our companies is a mandatory compliance requirement. So what happens is, when you encrypt the entire disk, right, when you try to boot the system using Linux or any other operating system, it will not allow to access the data. So only option left with you is, you need to reformat the entire hard drive. That means it will delete the existing encryption as well, with that data also lost. Okay. Now, whenever you are purchasing a desktop, right, or if you want to assemble a desktop, again you have to do a little bit of R&D. Again, everyone is going with the laptop, because laptops are much cheaper when compared to the desktop. And laptop do have a chip called TMC, I think, HSM. So these kind of chips, laptop will have these kind of chips. Oh, give me 1 minute, let me show you that. TPM chip on motherboard. Yeah. So TPM chip is small chip, will be something like this. It will be soldered to your laptop motherboard or desktop motherboard. This chip will contain all your digital certification and your username and passwords, like credentials you can say. So what is the purpose of this, Nankishore? So again, as I told you, okay, I have my desktop A, wherein it got some sensitive data. Now I need to steal the data. What they do is they take the they take the hard drive. If you see, right, mostly in the hacker movies, they take the hard drive, the government agencies, and they put the hard drive to a different system, and they try to retrieve the data. But when we are talking about the full disk encryption, where this information is stored, the key information in this particular chip, can we remove this chip? No. If you try to tamper this chip, the entire data will lost. So that means if the data is full encrypted, if you're using a full encrypted hard drive and you try to retrieve the information from the hard drive, which is not possible until unless the keys are very very the passwords are very say kind of weak passwords. So this is a role of TPM chip. Now you might be asking me, what is this TPM chip and what is HSM chip? So let's ask ChatGPT what exactly is that. Compare TPM chip with chip. Okay, so HSM is nothing but a hardware module. So hardware security module. What exactly is that? Is the TPM is meant for the systems, but HSM is meant for the cloud providers. Wherein, for example, if you take Amazon, they provided HSM as a service. So wherein the client can store all his credentials. It's kind of encryption, encryption box you can say. Wherein the say for example, I want to opt AWS services, okay, and I have some critical servers, something like I'm holding a Tesla server. So I will go with the HSM, and all this HSM box will hold my credentials, the disk credentials, user credentials, whatever it may be. So TPM is confined to your laptop or desktop. Nowadays you can see this TPM chip on your mobile phone as well. Not only that, nowadays you are getting this what is that blockchain kind of chip as well. I think probably Lenovo is the first phone who bought this TPM. Lenovo ThinkPad phone is there, so it got this TPM chip. So again, all these things, the secure boot, the secure BIOS, the TPM, these all address the security of a system. Guys, am I clear? Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, now.
Yes, Kishore. Yes, ma'am.
So okay, now Kishore, this is very interesting, fascinating. I want to learn more about this. There's a huge topic called hardware hacking. Okay, hardware hacking is a different domain. You can get into, you can get into the course, take the course. I don't know where they, I do know some sources. I don't want to show here because the entire session I am, recording. So go there, learn that. That should be fine for you. Now, Nankishore, my desktop is ready. Okay, I got my motherboard, I got my hard drive, CPU, RAM, power supply. When I turn on, it shows the BIOS as well. Now I need to install the operating system. Isn't it, guys? So now we do have different we call varieties of operating system. We have Mac, we have Windows, we have Linux. So you might be asking me, what's the difference between Mac, Windows, Linux? And they are again, the primary difference is a usage. So if you take the Windows, right, even a layman, if you give him a laptop, at least he will move the cursor here and there. You see, yes, I can go like this. It's very easy to learn Windows. What about Mac and what about Linux? So Linux, again, earlier it was a bit difficult, but since 6-7 years, right, Linux it's become very user friendly. So you can see lots of similar activities between Linux and Windows. And what about Mac? So one of the thing I forgot to tell you guys, so Mac is totally dependent on the hardware. So you might be asking me what exactly that. So now I went to the went to the shop. I bought some hardware based on the ChatGPT recommendation. Can I install Mac on this? No. The reason is Mac is a secure operating system. The operating system itself defined. I will run on this particular hardware. The CPU should be Apple CPU. Apple, they use some chip, right? Apple chip. They should use separate kind of RAM. They use a separate kind of hard drive. Only on the particular thing I can run, and that is the reason Apple laptops, mobile phones are very secure. So because the hardware is closely integrated with the operating system, but not in the case of a Linux or Windows. Now, Kishore, that is fine, but what about Windows? Which is secure, the Linux or the Windows? Again, guys, security is totally depends on you, and Linux is, Linux is something. It's totally on your understanding. No, I want only 10% security. Yes, install. You can configure 10% security. No, I want to configure 100% secure Linux. Yes, it's possible, but not with the Windows. Okay. So now what I do is, okay guys, that is fine. Okay, this is something tricky. Let me go with the easy operating system, Windows. I'll install Windows. Okay, fine, I install the Windows. What next? The moment you install the Windows, okay, Microsoft will, not only Microsoft, there are third-party applications are there. They will start, stealing your data. What kind of data? What is the configuration? What is the make of the laptop? What is the username? When you verify your email address, blah 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 blah. They said, we don't share, but yes, they do. Now, how to control that? So, again, on the Windows, just go here, settings. Are you guys able to see my screen? Hello. Okay.
Yes, Kishore.
Privacy and
Yes,
security.
ma'am, we can.
Yeah, privacy and security, and go through each and every option and turn them off. That's the only way you can ensure you are not sharing any data with the Microsoft or any other third party. Okay, like this. Just turn up. These are all, again, they say they use for, to make a user experience more, then again, security, diagnostic, blah, blah, blah. They, in fact, nowadays, the systems are very, very, what called intelligent. They got some AI modules. So they try to take as much data as you can. Now, I have a laptop which also, unlock itself using the face recognition. That means my facial data is there. If you see the Apple phones, they got iris. That means they will take the fingerprint of your iris in the eye. Thumb impression when you have touch screen. So where this data, all this data will be stored on the Microsoft. They use it for their kind of purpose. So is the same thing with Apple? Yes, Apple say our systems are very secure, but however Apple do take your data. Now you might be asking, hey Nankishore, if that is the case, right, how can I safeguard my data, and what data these people are taking initially when I have installed a very first brand new system? So in that case, we have a tool called Wireshark, which will be which we will be learning in the next some classes. So we will be seeing the OSI layer, TCP layer, and every layer what data these people are collecting. Okay. Now, so Windows is owned by Microsoft, and Apple is owned. Sorry, Macintosh is owned by Apple. So there is a proprietary one. They will take the data. How about Linux? Do Linux also collect data? Believe me, guys, Linux is very secure in this because Linux is an open source. That means no particular community will own the Linux. So, however, even then, if you're using a Ubuntu or a Fedora or something, they will take little bit of data. They say it is for diagnostic purpose. Again, voluntarily you can turn them off. So that means, again, is my own perception, Linux is bit secure, more secure than Windows or Macintosh. Clear? Hello, guys, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, Kishore.
Yeah.
So now you know, right, what is motherboard, what is RAM, what is CPU. Clear, guys? Hello.
Yeah, clear.
Okay.
Clear,
Now,
Kishore.
cooling system. What exactly is a cooling system? It has many names. What people they call it thermal, they call heat shrink, they call it cooling system. As I showed you, this is where is this cooling system? What BIOS, motherboard? Yeah, this is a cooling system. This is for desktop. If you see the same thing for laptop, right? So it will be very very thin, slim. So this is a laptop fan. Can you see? Okay. Now one of the thing is, hey Kishore, what? My system, my laptop is literally heating up. What will be the possible, probable cause? Check your heating system. Go to a technician. He will remove this fan. He'll check the fan whether the fan is okay. If not, He will replace the fan. If the fan is okay, he'll remove the dust. And again, we have something like copper pipes, which will throw out the heat from the laptop. So again, nowadays, we got different metals. You have one fan, two fans. They do this kind of work. Now, Nan Kishore, I am a very basic person, right? I want to literally explore this particular laptop. How can I do that? Simple thing, guys. Block the heat, heat vents, right? So these are the heat vents wherein you will see the hot gases, right? Hot air coming out from the laptop. Block that. Once you block that, what will happen? Your laptop become a pressure cooker. Eventually, it will burn down everything. And there are some scenarios in the newspapers, and you can see that in the TVs as well. Okay, so what exactly is that? People started using the laptops when they're sleeping on the bed. So the bed, eventually it will block this kind of vents, and what will happen? It will blast, and the fire will happen. Things will happen, right? So you look at this laptop, it got lots of heat sinks. Okay, it got two fans. Again, it got lots of copper pipes which will throw the heat out of the laptop. If the laptop heats up, it will crash. And still you don't focus, then still you use, then eventually it will burn down. So this is how they got some kind of pegs wherein you can lift the bottom, the base of the laptop, so that the air will go out easily. Okay, so these are basic information, but again, if you want to learn about this, so just go to the internet and look for hardware hacking courses. See, hardware hacking. Oh, you got one in Udemy. Let's see what exactly is this. Yeah. So again, the same thing, USB. Again, RFID is a radio frequency ID. Blah blah blah. Chip of firmware analysis, GPS. Again, this is a very limited content, guys, but the courses which I've seen, it got everything, like how you extract the data from the RAM, all these things. And we have one from EC Council, practical hardware pen testing. Course content. Yeah, cheapest hardware, attacking hardware protocols, blah 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 blah. So if you want to learn, guys. Again, this is a different domain. Not everyone uses. And if you see in the movies, they show we just take the laptop, guys. We can retrieve data, like FBI guys, blah blah, they do. So motherboard, I have discussed the RAM, and I have discussed the hard drive. What is the issues with the hard drive? Also discuss. Again, when you talk about the RAM and hard drive, guys, you need to always go with the latest one. So if I ask ChatGPT, what is the latest RAM in the market? See, September 2021, DDR4 is the latest one. So go with the DDR4 RAM. Again, you have to check for the what called frequency, what frequency RAM I have. So if you see my system, right, system info. So I have 8 gigs of RAM. My CPU is Intel Core i5. Again, what is? Let me check this. Or I can do one more thing, guys. This is task manager. So this is a CPU, and does it provide any RAM information here? We should provide RAM information somewhere. Let me check. Yeah, it says sodium. I think probably it's a DDR4 RAM probably. So guys, Nankishore, I literally, I don't want to get into all this kind of things. I need some kind of, tool or script wherein I'll get the internals of my system is. We have something like CPU ID, a CPU ID thing. CPU ID. It's a small piece of software. It will give you all the information, your RAM, your motherboard, what kind of architecture, everything. So this is about the information about the CPU. Again, you have for RAM, click on this, it will show you what frequency RAM they are using. So when you can use this kind of things. So if for example I have only 8 GB, if I want to upgrade to 16 GB, I need to see what frequency of RAM I have, then I have to purchase the same kind of RAM. Okay, that's about the RAM. Now guys, I install my vocal say let me open MS Paint.
Hey, hi Kishore. Sorry to interrupt. I hope we are recording this session, right?
Yes, I am. I'm recording this session.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Okay, so this is my CPU. Okay, I have installed Windows. Sorry, it's fine. So I say I installed Windows 11. Windows 11 I have installed on the CPU. So this you can call it as a desktop or a laptop, no matter, right? Now, the very much important thing is I need to install some kind of application on this Windows. Okay, so what are the basic applications? The basic applications is I'll install Microsoft Office, and again I install antivirus. Again I will install VLC player, WinZip. Yes, I can install. What will happen if I install? So every system, right? Every system do have three kinds of protocols. Okay, so one protocol is TCP, another one is UDP. Okay, we'll think we'll consider this as TCP, and the ports will be from 0 to 65,535. These many ports we have. In the same way, for UDP we have 0 to 65,535 ports. Okay, and what is the third protocol, Nankishore? The third protocol is ICMP. ICMP is the third protocol. Now, does it have any port numbers? No, guys. ICMP don't have any protocol. Rather, it has ICMP error codes. Now check what are the ICMP error codes we have. What are the ICMP codes? Okay, so for a reply 0 it will give something, reply 1 something, these are all different codes. For code 5, reply code 5 you have something. I want to, in a better manner, I think, let me check on the internet. ICMP error codes. Okay, these are the code types, and you have you have many codes, guys. Some are important, and you know to recall everything. You have ChatGPT, you have internet. Even I don't remember all these codes. For example, right, host unreachable. Okay, I am pinging some system, so it says code 1. Let's check, is it true? CMD. Yeah, I say ping. Okay, ICMP uses ping. So sorry, ping uses ICMP protocol. Okay, pingnone.com. Definitely, this website is not available. Oh, this is strange, man. Something is there, none.com. I don't know what is that. Don't know, but it is pinging, right? So let's check another one. So ping, say, should not be. Okay, see, host unreachable. So that means if you check these things, right, so probably you will get the code as code. What is the code for host unreachable? Host unreachable is code number 1. So this is how the error code works in ICMP. Now coming to a diagram. Hey Nankishore, this is always fun. It's okay, but you said you're talking about the applications, right? Now if you see, I have my Brave browser, I have my command prompt, I have Edge, I have OBC Studio, I have some other things. So in order to run a program, okay, port has to be open. What does it mean? No, Nankishore, I'll do one thing, right? Since you said, well, the moment I get connected to the internet and the people will steal my information or my system get, kind of malicious software or something like that. So I'll do one thing. I'll close all the protocol, so port numbers. Okay. If you close all the port numbers, that means you cannot run anything on your system. So blunt rule: if an application want to run, that means it has to use a port number. Then only it will run. So one of the main thing when you're doing a network pen testing, okay. So I was doing one of the engagement is a black box testing, and the server is having only one purpose, that is it was hosting only one web application, and that was running on 443. Okay, all the other ports are closed, and my manager was asking me, hey buddy, you know what, just try something. So if the port number, if the ports are closed, you cannot do anything, guys. When there is a port is open, then only you probe the port further until you penetrate that. If you get penetrated, then again you look for more information, you pivot inside the system, inside the network. That's how it works. So now you guys know what is the purpose of protocols and port numbers, right, guys? Hello.
Clear, Kishore.
Yes, right. That's good. So does it same for Windows, Linux, or any other system? Yes, for every system same thing. Linux same thing, and for the Mac also same. Everything on the protocol. Now we are talking about the normal our system. Okay. So you said that is fine, and Kishore. Now I understood everything. So I do one thing, right? I will install a browser, Edge browser or Brave browser. I'll install Microsoft Office, and I'll install antivirus. So let's say I'll install Kaspersky antivirus. Okay. Let's check Kaspersky runs on which port number.
443.
443 is for the HTTPS, Pallavi. That's for the the web application. Definitely Kaspersky will not run on this. Let me check. Okay, guys, if you think again, this is not a right answer or something, because even this ChatGPT is a AI tool. It is learning from whatever information which we feed. So you're not convinced. You're not convinced with the answer. Then what I do is I regenerate the answer. Okay, but in the same way, I will also check on the internet. 8061. So Kaspersky Security Center web console runs on 8061. So that means every program, right? You take your Microsoft Office, yes, it require a port number. You take VLC. Let's talk about VLC. So it's a popular video player, right? VLC. So VLC runs on 8080. Are these port numbers standard? Again, when we discuss about the port number, I discuss in details. But yes, these some port numbers are standard. Some you can customize. Clear? So let's go to our diagram. So now, guys, I understood Nandkishore, and I installed few application. Since you said if I install more program means I am opening more ports. That means I am exposing myself more. So always remember, the best practice is whenever you are having any system, right, try to keep your software stacks low. That means install less softwares. Okay. Now Kishore, that is fine. I'm good. Now I need to connect to the internet. So in that case, what will happen? Okay, the moment you connect to the internet, right, many things will come into picture. What is the ISP? Let me put say this as the internet, right? I'm using this as Airtel broadband. So Airtel is a ISP. So again, let's talk about the internet. So what is internet, guys? Any idea? Hello? Just your basic understanding. Don't want to get into the definitions. Okay, no worries. So how internet really works is, see, internet is called as network of networks. That means I create a network in my home, and say for example Pallavi is in Bangalore. Pallavi will create one more network in her home. Now I need to connect Pallavi to my network. What I do is I lay down a cable from my home to Pallavi in Bangalore. So basically I am from Hyderabad. So that means, is this a way of connecting the internet? Yes, very much true. So So how can we do that? Say for example, in India we have lots of companies, they have internet network. Now they want internet, that means it has to go globally, that means it has to connect to different countries, and that is the reason. Let me show this, right? So this is India, it's in Asia, and this is America, this is in North American continent. Now they have the internet network they set up, and India is having internet network. That means I need to connect globally, that means I need to lay a cable from India to North America. Is it true? This is how we do? Yes, this is how we do. This is called as undersea cables. Okay, let me show. Okay, this is your internet cable which connect the entire world. This is how the world is connected, and that is the reason it's called networks of network. And how do you lay this particular cable, Nankishore? We have big ships, okay, big ships, and that ships will, just how you get the internet connection at home. The guy will come and he will pull the cable across different what call street lights or some walls. Same way we lay these cables under the sea. What if the cable is destroyed? Again, it is sealed with proper sealant, so no water will go. Even the fishes, they come and but nothing will happen. If at all something happened, that means expect the internet is gone for the country. So again, the people will get inside and they repair these cables. Interesting, right? See, this is how the internet cables are laid, and this is how the whole world is connected. Now, Kishore, this is fine, but Elon Musk was talking about a satellite internet. Yes, satellite. There's no cable. That means internet. The entire communication will happen using satellite. That means a different satellite will be happen. Will stationary at different points in the universe, and they connect and they form a network wirelessly. It's a beam, right? So let me show you the satellite network, how it works. So this is how the satellite network forms. Is all beam. Beam is nothing but data. So then this say for example this is a router. For example, it's a satellite, right? It takes a signal from other satellite, but here it will beam the data wirelessly to other people on the planet. So this is how the satellite works. Now this is fine, Kishore. So you are saying no, we lay down the cables. So who own these cables? Okay, government, they form a treaty in between and they lay down the cables. For example, Indian government, right? That's fine. So which company in Indian government deal with this kind of cable? There are two companies in India which deal with this kind of things. One is BSNL and MTNL. Though BSNL is a big player, MTNL is more or less Mahanagar Telecom Nagar Limited, something is there. So BNSL and MTNL, they are involved in this kind of things. So they get the internet. Further, they sell. How you buy. For example, I got Airtel broadband in my home. That means Airtel take the internet from BSNL. Then it further sells to individual people like me, the companies and everyone. Different packages and everything. That is how it works. Clear, guys? So this is my home. I'm using a Airtel. Okay, and Airtel is getting the internet from the BSNL. So for me, the Airtel became the ISP, Internet Service Provider. For Airtel, who's the service provider, is a BSNL. And that is the reason even Geo is laying the cables. Again, the Indian government have a plan to provide 5G in this Andaman Nicobar, and they are laying the cables between Andaman Nicobar and India mainland to the islands. So again we'll go to our diagram. So Nand Kishore, this is fine. I understood India is here, North America is here. They have internet network, and again they are connected with the cable. That is fine. Now what if I connect my internet to the my system to the internet? Again they will provide you a cable, okay, and you have a router in between. So for example, let me say we buy a router in my home. Okay, so the cable from the internet, it will go to the router. From the router I get Wi-Fi or LAN cable to my system and my laptops. This is how it really works. Now you might be asking, hey Nandkishore, this is fine, right? So what exactly you're trying to say? What I mean to say is, see, when you get, can I get a direct, cable from my ISP to the system? Yes, very much true. But you are not properly utilizing the internet. So whatever, whichever point the external connection ends, right? Say the kind of NAT kind of things will happen. I'll tell you in what is exactly is NAT. So for example, here it ends or here it ends. That means whatever network on this side of the router is called as intranet. So it's intranet or internal network, and whatever connection is out of this router, that's towards the ISP or outside this port, is called extranet or external network. Okay, one of the main thing in the IT industry is you need to learn the terminology, you need to learn the language. When they say intranet, that means you need to understand it's an internal network, those kind of things. So Nandkishore, that is fine. I have only one connection from Airtel, but in my house I got 15 different devices. Something like I got 6 phones, I got 5 laptops, I got wireless camera, blah blah. How it really works? How these things get the internet? You know, in order to get the internet, the router will play a role of a NAT server, NAT, network address translation. That means it get one network from the internet. Okay, and it will provide different network connections. So since we have a different, that router do have a inbuilt DHCP. I'll tell you in a while what exactly is DHCP. And the primary role of a DHCP server is DHCP. It provides the IP addresses. That's it. No other role. So the router do have a the router is having a small firmware. In the firmware, it got some kind of operating system, probably based on Linux or something. So that will facilitate the NAT functionality, the DHCP functionality, the router functionality, and etc. And logging functionality, and etc. I can say. In order to provide, the router should have this firmware. Now Nandkishore, in the same case with different router, no, based on your budget. If your budget is 500-600 rupees, you get a basic router. If your budget is 2000 rupees, you get a better router. If your budget is 5000 rupees, you get an even better router with more CPU. Again, every system which get the IP is a machine. That means it should have CPU, it should have hard drive, it should have memory. Compulsory it will, and a network card as well. Okay, now my ISP is what called Airtel, right? Now I want to check my IP. How can I check my IP? So I'll go here, I'll say IP config. This is a command we use to check the IP in the local LAN. So if I do that, right, I'll get an IP as 192.168.1.57 because I'm using a Wi-Fi. Okay, now is this a IP? No, 192 is always internal IPs. I'll discuss when I discuss about the IP address. But if I want to see what IP I am getting from the internet, okay, ISP, go to, there are many sites. What is my IP? Okay, so my public IP is 103.110.145.35. Okay, hey, this is good, man, this is good. Now you know what, hey Kishore, when I'm trying to use my laptop, right, my antivirus is notifying me someone is trying to come into your network and their IP is this. How can I know more information about this IP? Then we have something like IP lookup. Okay, we have IP lookup. Go again, just giving a small information, guys. Okay, get the details. Yeah, it says blah 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 Telangana, Khammam, blah blah blah, latitude and longitude, and you can get this information. Now I know, yes, someone in Telangana, that is Hyderabad, is they're trying to hack my system by pinging or doing some kind of things. Clear? Between a external IP and internal IP. Hello.
Yes, Kishore.
Okay.
Yeah, Kishore.
So now the question is, hey, is that much easy? Anyone can ping my system. I know if they get my public IP, always never disclose your public IP. Even I'm just recording, but again, my IP is a dynamic IP. So once I restart my router, this IP will change. So that is how it is, not a static. It says likely static, it's not a static. Okay, is that easy, Nandishwar? It's not that easy, man. So when I try to hack, right? Say for example, again I'll go to my original diagram. So this is India, this is UK, right? So now I am in India, and say Cyan is in China. Now Cyan is trying to ping me, so that means Cyan traffic has to go through the internet. Okay, from the internet it has to come to my system. There are number of ISPs. It will block the malicious traffic on the internet. So this particular concept we will be discussing when we talk about the surface net and the deep web. What is the difference between the surface net and the deep web? Okay. Hey Nandkishore, that is fine. I understood that. But in my friend, he works in IT industry, and he is working for a US company, and he is working from home. He's trying to do the pen testing, which is a kind of ethical hacking. His systems are in US. How it really works? That means they have to, again the company. Say for example, I'm working for Microsoft, and my friend is working for Deloitte. Deloitte is having a client in Japan. So Deloitte India, he's in Deloitte office. That means he need to whitelist my IPs, and the Japan people has to whitelist my IPs, and I need to whitelist their IPs. Then only communication will happen. If not, this thing will be blocked. I will discuss that when we discuss about the network pen testing in detail. So coming to the again my home, right? So again, as I told you, there are many ISPs which do have filtering devices, and they will definitely block your IP. How come I know, Nandkishore? Then that's fine, right? All you have to do is go to the command prompt. Okay, that's fine. So go to the command prompt, say trace route. Trace route, and just tell me one company, guys, any company. Tesla.com. Okay. See, it is pinging. It will check how many how many connections between me and that, and it will, if you see the star means there's a firewall. Those kind of things will block your malicious things. Okay, this is my internal IP. That's my gateway. That's my router 1.1. It is going to my local ISP. So ISP IP, again ISP router. See, we got one star. This is a filtering device. And Tesla is in USA, isn't it? Again, see, VSNL. Again, Mumbai. That means these guys are using MTNL, who my broadband service providers. Now from Mumbai, it will connect to the system in USA, and that's how the connection will happen. Now I really don't know, man. What is this 195.219.174.16, right? I'll copy this, okay, this IP. I'll go to this IP lookup. Okay, I'll give the IP lookup. I want to see who owns this particular IP. Okay, it's a data center in France. That means the company, the information is going from Hyderabad to France. From there, it will go to the USA. Timeout is all filtering device. So what my intention is, see guys, I'm sitting in China, I'm going to attack in and show it's not that much easy, guys. So security testing is all about skills and patience. The company spends thousands of crores, some lakhs of crores, and that makes the job of a hacker very difficult. We have different filtering device. We have defense in depth. Every layer we got security implemented. It is not that easy. I learned the pen testing. I just go and hack everything. It's not going to work in that way. Okay. Now, even say for example, I'm working in Microsoft, right? And there is one more colleague of mine who's sitting just next to me. Okay, she's having a laptop B, and I'm having a laptop A. My IP address is 192.168.1.10. Her laptop is IP address is 11. Can I hack her? Hack her laptop? Is not possible. The reason is, though we are sitting next, though the IP address are next to each other, the connection has to go through different filtering device within the company. And within the company, we do have IPS and IDS. We'll be discussing that. What exactly the IPS and IDS, and why we need them in an organization, and they will block the malicious traffic. Clear? Hello.
Yeah, Kishore.
Clear.
So now, okay, Nankishore, I got my system. I installed some software. I know the role of we call ports. Again, I now are connected to the internet. I got the ISP. Now, when I try to put what called do a malicious kind of traffic on the internet, your Google will block. Your ISPs will block. This. That means you are supposed to do work in an ethical manner on the internet. So this is a flow for normal system. Now the question is, this is all fine, Nankishore, but no, we are talking about the job, right? That means we are talking about the organization. Is the same thing in an organization? Almost yes. Okay. So let's talk about the organization. So guys, you want any break for 5-10 minutes? Hello.
Yes, Kishore.
Okay.
Sure, Kishore.
So 12:15. So what time you want to connect back?
I think
Like by 12:25, I guess.
Yeah, 12:25. That's fine, guys. Then we'll talk about how the things works in a company. And I hope you guys are seeing my screen as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's fine. So guys, before going to the company network infrastructure, we have to discuss few more things in our Windows itself. Okay. Again, we'll go to our